Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Michelle Saga and I am the crafty chick behind Shell's Beads. Today's tutorial is an icicle drip snow globe tumbler that is perfect for the winter season. I will be featuring a brand new facet epoxy that I have absolutely fallen in love with. Just a reminder that everything I do use will be listed and linked in the description box below. So if you're ready, let's get started. To get started, we're going to be prepping our glass tumbler here using a rotary tool with a diamond plated tip. These are sometimes called reamers, and I do have a variety of shapes, but this one is kind of cylindrical. As you can see, I'm using this to rough up the surface around the hole for better adhesion for our epoxy application. Next, I'm going to move on to doing the same thing around the top rim of the cup. This is going to be our icicle design, and I'm just kind of roughing it up with the Dremel tool because that is the areas that we will be applying our epoxy later. I wanted to preface this with please be wearing proper PPE like your organic vapor respirator mask so that you're not breathing in any of those glass particles. I went ahead and pulled up a photo on Pinterest for some inspiration and also to get an idea of how the spikes of the icicles were flowing. From there, I went ahead and made sure that I altered them so that I didn't have too many long ones next to each other and just kind of kept doing that all around the entire rim of the cup. You'll see me periodically here wiping this off with 91% rubbing alcohol just to make sure that I don't have too much dust accumulating and to see where there's any spots that I may have missed. I'm also taking the time to go around that very top line there and really make sure that I have it nice and engraved so that all of the epoxy that's sitting right there at the top has a nice tooth in which to hang onto. Once I'm done with all of my spikes and I'm happy with it, I'm going to take some 91% rubbing alcohol, spray the glass down, and wipe down with a paper towel. I'm not going to go too far in depth into actually creating the snow globe look for this. There's a lot of great videos. I also did one using an acrylic tumbler. So for now, I'll just show you the ingredients that I used. I'll be using Chaos Glitters. It's Cold Outside Polymer Clay Sprinkle Mix. These are little tiny snowflakes. And then we're going to be taking some of their amazing glitters and creating our own custom glitter mix in a beautiful wintry shade for the inside. Just a reminder that all of the glitter colors that I am using here, along with all of the other supplies, will be listed and linked down below. So just feel free to check there if you're lost or you didn't catch one of the glitter names. To start off with, we are going to be using 3 beautiful glitters from Chaos Glitter. The first one is Oceanography, and this is a gorgeous blue mix. Then we're going to take Snow, which is a matte pearl white mix. And that is also a chunky mix, so it's got little pieces of all different sizes. And my personal favorite, Olaf. This is a beautiful iridescent blend that has a gorgeous pink to blue shift. To do this, you just want to mix whatever ratio of the glitters together that makes you happy. If you prefer that it's more white, you would just add more of the 2 white colors and use your blue as an accent. Or if you wanted to go heavy on the blues, you could do that too. I love this footage because it shows just what a messy crafter I am. I gave up after about 5 seconds and just dumped blue in there. So you can see as I'm mixing this up, that blue really comes in and creates a beautiful icy mix. I dumped in that pre-mixed glitter that I had already done and kind of went to town for this. You want about 30 milliliters of glitter to fill your snow globe. It just seems to be that perfect balance and mix. So on this, you see me here filling it. Like I said, I'm not going to go too far in depth into this because there's tons of ways to do this. I was being a little quick on this. I probably should have taped around that rim in order to create a barrier, but glass is really slick, so it worked out really well. After we have our glitter in, we're going to be adding our glycerin and distilled water mixture. For this, I use a 65-35 blend, so 65% glycerin to 35% distilled water. I like a little bit more glycerin in my mix, especially when I have some of these finer cuts that are mixed in with my chunkies, so that I don't get them all slumpy and bumpy in the cup and get them sticking in places that I don't want them. If you get a little air bubble like you just saw there, you can actually reverse that flow by just squeezing on your pipette and pulling some of that liquid back. I like using the pipette because as you can see, it's flexible so I can really get down in there. Now we're going to prep the bottom of the cup to seal it. You need to take acetone and a paper towel and really wipe the heck out of this cup. Once it's clean and free of any residue, we're going to be taking a little square of sealing tape, which I will have listed and linked below, and seal up that hole. Now I'm just going to be taking some of my favorite UV resin and mixing it with some of that Olaf mix to create a glitter resin mix to add to the bottom of this cup. I start by adding it over the hole so that I can just make sure that that area is properly covered. The easiest way to do this is using a silicone nail tool like you see here, because it lets you move the glitter around without creating any kind of ridges or bumps. I make sure that I have enough glitter over that area because that is the most vulnerable spot on this cup. I keep adding this until I have a nice even layer to the bottom. I will change my vision perspective and kind of crouch down and look at it to make sure that I don't have any areas that could cause me problems in the end and cause the cup to have a wobbly bottom. Once you have that as level as you can get it, you're going to want to pop it under a UV curing lamp for at least 120 seconds. After I do that, I pop it outside in my nice bright Florida sun for about 15 minutes and I have a perfect hard cure. Now to the fun part. This is a brand new fast set epoxy called Lightning Cure from the Epoxy Resin store. This has been an absolute game changer for me, and I cannot wait to share this with you guys. It is a 2-part epoxy with a 1-to-1 ratio, and what I love about this is the viscosity of it is really thin. So unlike other fast sets that are super thick and hard to stir and get a ton of micro bubbles, this does not have that. Another huge plus is that it is virtually odor-free. So you're working on multiple cups, your whole studio is not going to smell like a chemical zone. So to do this, I am mixing up 30 milliliters, so 15 of part B and 15 of part A. And I'm just gonna stir this for about a minute until it's all incorporated and I no longer see any little threads. Another plus to this epoxy is I had very little bubbles. By the time I got into creating my icicles, there were absolutely no bubbles left in the mixture. Make sure to clean your tools off right away with 91% rubbing alcohol and a paper towel so that you avoid it curing on your tools. From there, we're going to create our glitter mixture for our icicles. I used 15 milliliters of this Lightning Cure epoxy and Georgette chunky mix from Chaos Glitters. This is a beautiful opalescent shard mix that has almost a fire opal flash to it. As you can see, I am adding it to both of my containers and I am being a little more heavy-handed on the glitter than I normally would be because I want this to have a lot of texture once I apply it as my drips. The only thing I'm sad about is I did not need 30 milliliters of epoxy. I only needed 15. So in the future, just mix 15 milliliters up. You can always mix more if you need it, but in this case, I had an entire pot of epoxy that I didn't end up using. After the glitter is mixed in, you're gonna let your epoxy sit for about 5 to 7 minutes. This was at the 5-minute mark, and as you can see, it's still a little bit runny. So hindsight, I probably would have let it sit to the 7 or 8 minute mark, but as you can see, it's not dripping and going all out of control. One of the things that I really was intrigued with when I first looked at this epoxy was the fact that the company boasted that it was great for drips. That's important because if you're waiting for epoxy to cure or using it for drips and it's still in the pot, most fast set epoxies carry a risk of flash curing. But this epoxy did not do that and it stayed completely workable all through the process of this video. So that's enough talk about that. Let's talk about applying it. As you can see here, it's still a little thin, so it may run in some places, but as it starts to thicken up, what we're basically doing is covering all of those engraved areas with this epoxy. That engraved area gives a tooth for that epoxy to hang onto and prevent it from going all over the cup and just dripping in places you don't want it to. As this epoxy starts to thicken up, the consistency becomes more like school paste. And we want that because we want our drips to have a texture. We don't want it to be smooth like a regular candy drip or a hot chocolate drip. We want this to be like an icicle. So as you see here, I'm just continuing to go around and cover all of the areas that I engraved. And I'm also kind of paying close attention to that top rim part and making sure that I apply a nice even coat there because that's going to act kind of like my seal. We're going to go around the entire cup applying this glitter, just like you see me doing here. And the cool thing is you're going to watch this process of this epoxy actually start to set during the duration of this video. That gives you an idea just how quickly this product works and the fact that by the time this video is done, no joke, this cup is literally going to be almost fully cured. I know, total game changer. So moving forward, as you can see me applying here, what I'm trying to make sure of is that I have all of the etched areas covered. I did have to go back and clean up some by kind of smushing and smooshing the resin into the areas that I wanted it. But I don't want to leave too much of that frostiness behind because it is textured and it is basically just raw glass on the bottom. So I wanted to make sure to really take the time to cover all of that. In this clip here, you can really see just how spiky those areas are and how you just want to cover them with this resin mixture in order to cover all of those etched areas. I loved this process, guys, and it was so much fun to do. I had this idea in my head for quite a while, but I never found the right epoxy to make it happen. I had tried this last year with another fast set epoxy, and it flash cured in the cup. And not only that, but it took forever to get it to do what I wanted it to do. It wasn't a true lightning cure fast set like this is. So I finally found the right medium. One of the things that you might actually enjoy with this is its sculpting capabilities. So as you can see in the pot there, this is getting even thicker, almost the consistency of taffy. And now I'm really able to mold this and put this where I want it. This would also be good for stencil application if you were doing stencils on a cup and you wanted them to be epoxied to the cup. This would be a fantastic product to use. Stay tuned because I think that might be a future video coming up. So I didn't want to waste anything in the pot because I already knew that I was wasting the other 15 milliliters. So as you can see, I am literally using every last amount that I can before it completely sets to create a ton of additional texture to these icicle drips. Once you're done with that, the cup is completely finished. At the end of 20 minutes, all of the resin on this cup was fully cured and ready to go. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I had so much fun creating this tutorial for you, showing you a brand new product that I've fallen in love with, and also showing you a creative way that you can use resin that maybe you hadn't tried out before. So if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, leave me a comment below because I love to hear from you guys, and consider subscribing to my channel. From the bottom of my heart, I love all of you guys, and until next time, stay creative.